now we're going to talk about moksha and the different aspects we need for moksha. I know we've mentioned a lot about Akshardham and like Bhagwan's home and like so it might be very confusing. So let me kind of like kind of detail explain it to you. So to attain moksha, a bhakta needs to serve Purushottam Narayan, which is also Bhagwan, Swaminarayan Bhagwan, with purity and honesty. Like Sahil was saying, our intention is to be pure and we need to do it properly in order to attain the flag. So with Seva, because with the seva that we do, we need to have dharma, bhakti, jnana, and vairagya to overcome maya. And maya is the obstruction of kalyan. It is a darkness that basically is kind of like blocks us from kalyan. So if we can get rid of all of our maya, then we can attain Bhagwan's home in Akshardham. And this is a quote from the Satsangi Jivan. I said it in the previous slide, but this is from the Satsangi Jivan and specifically the Hari Gita when Ghanshyam Maharaj was telling his mother, like right here, you can see Sri Hari replied, "Oh mother." So when Bhakti Mata was on her deathbed, she sees that my son is Bhagwan, and Bhagwan gives her what she needs, the gnan that she needs to know in order to attain his dham. So the importance of seva, and one thing that really comes to mind when we think of seva is like, oh, Swaminarayan Sampradaya. But I do want everyone to kind of take a step back and think about it in the sense of like everyone, because when Ramanand Swami established the Uddhav Sampradaya, he established it on the basic based on the teachings of the Vedas and other holy scriptures of Hinduism. One of the cardinal principles was serving Bhagwan, and when serving Bhagwan within the Sampradaya. So like this was a key like foundation of just our Uddhav Sampradaya as a whole, even before Maharaj came and took the Gadi. So, and even when you think of, if you think of it in a broader perspective, Seva is a fundamental aspect of Hinduism. And it is also not just Hinduism, but also practiced by multiple religions around the globe. So it is kind of like a humanly duty to help serve other people as well. So it isn't just directly related to religion. And that's the thing that's so nice about Seva. Like you can bring a friend to Mandir to like for like I said in the when I was talking about it this morning with the community side, there's so many different examples that you can like bring with your friends. Like it's not necessarily that it's only strictly directed to our sampradaya. Like if your mandir is hosting a food drive, you can bring your friends along, or like is doing a blood drive, they can come and donate some blood. Like more the merrier in that sense, because that just helps our community grow. And also that person, Maharaj is pleased with that person as well. So you're introducing that person to Maharaj, and indirectly you're responsible for their kalyan, which is such a great thing. Like if you think about it. And if we think of Hinduism too, as well, Maharaj's avatars like Ram Bhagwan and Krishna Bhagwan show seva as a way of life. So Lakshmanji, if you remember, is the younger brother of Ram Bhagwan. And when Ram Bhagwan and Sita ji were subjected to their 14-year vanvas, Lakshmanji went with them. And it was to protect his older brother and Bhabi from whatever was happening in the forest. Because if you think about it, the forest, you can't just, like, if we think of it, it's hard to go live in the forest. Like, it's easy said, but hard done because the wilderness, the conditions are bad. Lakshmani did not sleep for 14 years straight to protect his boy and Bhabi. And even when fighting demons like Ravan, Lakshmanji was at the side of Ram Bhagwan the whole time. And this shows his like servant like behavior towards his older brother and Bhagwan, because that is avatar of Bhagwan, so that is highly respected. And when you think of another of the avatar, Krishna Bhagwan, Draupadi, she was married to Arjun, and Arjun was the cousin of Krishna Bhagwan. So indirectly, Krishna Bhagwan was Draupadi's brother-in-law. So one day during Uttarayan, Krishna Bhagwan was flying kites, and his finger got cut by the thread of the kite, like the kite string. So there was blood coming out. So Draupadi instantly rips off like a corner of her sari and ties it around Krishna Bhagwan to stop the bleeding. And that day, Krishna Bhagwan said, "I will return you like this favor. Don't worry. Like this nice act of seva that you've done for me, you will be rewarded." So remember this situation. Now the real story begins. Okay, so like keep that extra in the back of your mind while I say this part. So uh in the Hastinapur court, Duryodhan, if you remember from the Mahabharata, he was kind of like the antagonist of Mahabharata, was gambling against Yudhishthir, who is the Raja of Indraprastha. And so when you're gambling, when you lose a gamble, you gamble more. So there's a chance for you to win it back. Like if I was gambling $5 and I lost, I would put in another 10. And then I would put, and I lost that, I would put in like 100. So remember that. So it's like kind of like you keep building and building and building until you like lose it all. That's how gambling worked. So Yudhishthir first, he gambles off the four of his younger brothers. So Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev. He gambles off all four of them. He gambles off his throne because he is the king of Indraprastha. So the throne now belongs to Duryodhan. And then he gambles off his wife, Draupadi, because Draupadi had five husbands. And I know that sounds really weird to think about, but in we are in Kali Yuga, which is it's a time period, kind of it separates a time period. In Dwapar Yuga, it was a normal occurrence. It was dharma. It was according to dharma. So it wasn't like wrong during that time period, but it is now. So as time changes, actions and consequences change as well. So Draupadi, so then Dusasan, who is Duryodhan's younger brother. So Duryodhan is the antagonist. He orders his younger brother to get Draupadi to the court because now technically Draupadi belongs to Duryodhan because Yudhishthira gambled his wife away. So he drags Draupadi by her hair into the open court. And that, for one, is so insulting because as a woman, that women are so respected in our culture. And for him to do that is beyond disrespectful and very insulting. So then Duryodhan orders for Dusasan to undress Draupadi, which is beyond even speakable. Like it's terrible. So remember, Krishna Bhagwan, Draupadi tied a little string to Krishna Bhagwan. Um, so then Dushashan starts to pull on Draupadi's sari, and as he is untangling, Krishna Bhagwan comes. No one can see him, only Draupadi can. Out of his hand starts out falling cloth of that same sari, and as the cloth is falling out, as Dushashan is pulling, Krishna Bhagwan is like giving her more like cloth. And then he's pulling and pulling like kind of like string of a yarn until he just gives up. Like he just falls out of exhaustion. And in that day, Krishna Bhagwan saved Draupadi's like he saved her respect in front of the open court because there are different kings, there's villagers, everyone is present in that Sabha hall. So he protected her femininity and protected her respect and attained Maryada and respected her Maryada. So the story, well, I told the story because it shows how one little action you do for Bhagwan give you so much in return. So I want you to put that in mind. If we constantly do seva to Bhagwan every single day, imagine how great and Bhagwan's Rajipo is towards us.